Hello YouTube viewers, and welcome to what I'm going to start calling Dave's Garage. Okay, I shouldn't be naming things, but I think it just sounds appropriate. My name's Dave, and this is my 2008 Suzuki GSXR. And today we're going to be looking at the rear brakes. We're going to do a flush of the braking system, just basically putting in new fluid. You may have watched my previous one. I've got another video where we do the front. We do the front brakes as well as replacing the bleed nipple on the master cylinder up front. It was actually a repair and a flush. Today we're just doing a flush. There's actually nothing wrong with the rear brakes other than it needs new fluid, just due to age. But let's first start by looking at the tools that we're going to need to do the project. Okay, so these are going to be the tools that you need to do this project. Yeah, give a little pointer finger in there. There it is. Yeah, the first thing you're going to need is an old rag. Put that around the brake caliper in case any fluid spills. Next thing you're going to need is your either a MityVac, some type of vac for brake bleeding. You can use a bleeder bag, that's fine, but I'm going to demonstrate how to do this with the vac. You're going to need some brake fluid. DOT4 is what I use in this one. Check with your service manual to make sure you're using the right kind. You're going to need a 5/16 socket. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver and a 5/16 inch open wrench. Closed head would work. Just make sure you put it on before you hook up your bleeder bag or the vac to the bleed nipple. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, the next thing I want to do is just have a look at the braking system and kind of what we're getting into. Now, if you saw my previous video on the front brakes, you know there's 3 different places that you have to bleed. And on this one, there's actually only one. What we have here, we have, of course, your brake pedal. Now, this goes up into this, and you see that pushes a little piston that's lined up in this thing. This is actually your master cylinder. You've got a hose that goes up in here, and I see back there. I'm going to come around this side. There's your reservoir. And try to get a little bit of good lighting in there. It's a little dark and cloudy today, but we can see we got a good amount of fluid. It's in the safe zone, but it is very dark. But fluid comes through this line, goes into your master cylinder, comes out this line, goes on back, and it goes down here to your rear brake caliper. And right here is your bleed nipple with its dust cover. Now, to give you a comparison of the fluid, just kind of take note of how dark that is, and you can kind of get a little bit different view of it there, a little bit better. You just look how dark it is. Now, of course, I just changed the fluid in this up here on the front, and look how it's almost the same color as the reservoir. It's pretty much clear, so you can see quite the contrast. It just happens over time. Just you're supposed to replace that fluid every so often. This is a 2008. I bought it used, but I'm going to assume that's the original fluid. So we're looking at 6-year-old, no, 5-year-old fluid. I'll get my math right here in a second. So, but anyway, it's too old. I'll have to look up. I'll post somewhere there on the screen about what the correct time limit is, how often you're supposed to do it. I'm wanting to say 2 years, but I'm not sure. I'll look that up, and we'll post that up so you'll know. But I can tell you right now, when it looks like that, you should change it. So now let's get started on it. All right, the first challenge we're going to have is getting this undone. This bracket here, I mean, it's pretty much part of the frame, and it's definitely in the way. I cannot get feasibly my tools and everything back there, suck that fluid out, put new fluid in, and that sort of thing. So this has got to come undone. The problem is there's nothing out here to mount it to. So if you leave it dangling free, they're going to have fluid spilled all over the place. So we're going to come up with a way to remedy that here in a minute. But first, let's disconnect the thing. You got that little nut right there, or well, bolt, whatever it is. But you got that, and we need a 5/16 socket to undo that. So let's get started. Alright, we got our 5/16 socket, and we got an extension because we want to need that. Let's get in here, and that broke loose pretty easily. We got that much, we can get the rest up with the fingers. Alright, it's off. Hose kind of holds it in place. It's a pretty stiff hose, but set that down there. Let's get a look here. This was actually on this side. You can see there is a metal washer, or whatever you want to call it. It's inside the plastic housing. This is threaded. There wasn't anything on the back side, like a nut or anything holding it. The bolt just goes straight into that. So now we need to bring this out, and this is going to be tough to do because this hose, you know, is pretty stiff. So let's see what we can do here. All right, let's bring that out here. And there you go, there's that. Now the problem is going to be getting it to kind of stay in a mounted position like that. I was prepared to take some fishing string and tie that over, but I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be just fine. Up top here, we got 2 screws. There we go, light focus, and we got these 2 screws we got to take out to get that cap off. So let's get started on that. Long screw. Let's get the other one here. Next thing we're going to do is just pop this off at your cover. And that little plastic part there that I've dropped. There it is. Going under the jack stand. Diaphragm, something. It is what it is. There we go. All right. Right. One of the things I forgot to do was put gloves on, and I did that in the last video when I was doing the front brakes. Something that I've been trying to do, just basically to be healthier. You know, this brake fluid here, it's supposed to be some pretty nasty stuff. So we'll put some gloves on, especially since I got an open wound on my hand from yesterday. But put the glove up, and then we'll get back into this. Alright, next thing we want to do is take our MityVac. The gloves will fall apart. Let's put that back together. We'll take our MityVac, and we're going to suck out some of this brake fluid. A little reservoir, it doesn't hold much. Sucks there, Alright, the next thing we're going to do is take the disc cover off of the bleed nipple for the rear. And we're going to put a little rag around all this. That way, if we spill any fluid, we'll go ahead and soak it up. Just kind of wrap that around there real nice. trick is keep it out of your way also. Next step is to take our vac and hook this up here. Put that right over it. Then you take your 5/16, put it in there, crack that open. Kind of wanted to open it just about a quarter of a turn was good enough, and start pumping the fluid out of the lines. I don't know if you heard it or not, but there was you could hear a little bit of a whistle up there in the master cylinder. Just for a second there, maybe out. Still see it's getting a little bit coming up through there. Alright, now we've got basically all the fluid that we can get sucked out of this. We're going to start adding new fluid to it. Now check with your instruction manual or your service manual to make sure of what type of fluid your bike uses. These use the DOT4, which I'm going to say is probably what most sport bikes use, but just make sure that you're using the right stuff. Now, the main rule on this, you never let this fluid go dry. Once you get started putting fluid back into it, never let that fluid go dry. So we're going to go ahead and fill it up pretty high. Be careful though we don't spill any.